Hello everybody, welcome to GIS Pathshala, Grade 7 Social Science History. Our topic is Mughal Empire. We have seen about the Mughal Empire, how they invented India and how they ruled over India. See now about the Zebad, Zamindar, all things we have seen. Now Akbarnama and Aine Akbari. Akbar offered one of his close friend and courtiers, Abul Fazl, to write a history of his region. See now Akbar told his close friend to Abul Fazl to write the history of his region. Abul Fazl wrote a 3 volume history of Akbar region titled Akbarnama. The first volume dealt with Akbar's ancestors and the second volume recorded the events of Akbar region. And Abul Fazl written 3 volume means 3 part. In first part he wrote about the ancestors of the Akbar. In second volume the record and event of Akbar region. The third volume is the Aine Akbari. It deals with Akbar's administrator. See, Aine Akbari deals with Akbar's administrations, household, army, revenues and the geography of his empire. It is also provides rich detail about the tradition and culture of the people living in India. The most interesting aspect about the Aine Akbari is its rich statistical details about the things as diverse as crop yields, prices, wages and revenue. See, all the things regarding the Akbar's administration geography is written in Aine Akbari. Now a close rule about Akbar's policies. See, the broad feature of administration were laid down by Akbar and were elaborately discussed by Abul Fazl in his book The Akbarnama, in particular in last volume of Aine Akbari. Abul Fazl explained that empire was divided into provinces called subas. So full and see empire was divided into small part that is called subas, governed by subedar, and the head of the suba means that part was a subedar. Like that you can see in suppose presently the state Gujarat is there, so small districts are there, no, like that, who carried out both political and military functions. Subedars were carrying the political and military functions. Each province also had financial officer or diwan. Each province also had a financial officer. One financial officer was there and who was known as diwan. For the maintenance of peace and order in his province, the subedars were supported by other officers such as military paymasters, bakshi, means one police type person who was there to see the law and order in the province was there is a bakshi. The minister in charge of religious and charitable patragon were sadar. One minister was there who was looking after the charitable things and religious matters was the sadar. Military commanders, Fojdars, military commanders was also there. Those were counted as Fojdars, and 2 police commander were there. They were counted as known as Kotwals. See, like that, the full administration system is there. One person is looking after religious thing. One is seeing after the military things. One is working as a policeman. One is seeing about the other aspects. So, like that, all the persons are appointed in the Akbar's administration under Akbar's administration. Nur Jahan, Mehrunisa married the Emperor Jahangir in 1611 and received the title Nur Jahan. She remained extremely loyal and supportive to monarch, who was very loyal and supportive to the king. As a mark of honor, Jahangir struck silver coins bearing his title on one side and on the other inscription struck the name of Queen Begum Nur Jahan. Jahangir took out the silver coins. Currency coins were there, and on the coin, silver coins, one side the Nur Jahan's name was written. The adjoining document is in order. Okay. Now, Akbar's noble commanded large armies and had access to large amounts of revenue. While they were loyal, the empire functioned efficiently, but by the end of the 17th century, many nobles had built independent network of their own. Their loyalties to the empire were weakened by their own self-interest. See, previously all the things were going on properly, large armies were there, but after that what happened? Some nobles built their independent network And they were interested in their own things only, they are self-interested. While Akbar was at Fatehpur Sikri, while Akbar was at Fatehpur Sikri during 1570, he started discussion on religious with ulema, Brahmins, Jews, priests, and were Roman Catholic and Zoroastrians. This discussion took place in the Ibadat Khana. See, Akbar gathered all the persons of different religions, and he started a religious talk. He was interested in the religion and social custom of different people. He wanted to know of the different culture, customs and religion of the people. Akbar's interaction with the people of different faiths made him realize that religious scholars who emphasized ritual and dogma were often bigots. Bigot means an individual who were intolerant of another person's religious beliefs and cultures. Means what happens after talking and discussing with the other all the persons, the scholars of different religions, what Akbar came to know that those who are the masters, those who are the scholar of one religion, they are intolerant and they are not ready to accept, they cannot tolerate the religious beliefs and culture of other person. They are stuck to their own cultural beliefs only. Their teaching created division and disharmony against subject. Means their teaching then creating a division and disharmony among the subjects, means the people. This eventually led Akbar to the idea of Sulekul or universal peace. Because of that, Akbar came to know this. All the scholars are saying that our religious is best. They are not tolerating other religious. Means this creating a bad impact on the people. So now then Akbar got an idea, and he led an idea of Sulekul or universal peace. Means he told that we don't want to compare any religion with anything, but the religion universal peace is the main thing. This idea of tolerance did not discriminate between people of different religion in his realm. Instead, it focused on system ethic, honesty, justice, peace that was universally applicable. Now, what Akbar led is not according to the religion methods. He focused on the honesty, justice, peace. Those things are common for all the people. And that created a universal peace, and this is universally applicable. Abul Fazl helped Akbar in forming a vision of governance around his idea of Sulekul. Abul Fazl also helped. The principle of governance was followed by Jahangir and Shah Jahan as well. Akbar's this principle was also followed by Jahangir and Shah Jahan also. Now the Mughal Empire in the 17th century. The administrative and military efficiency of Mughal Empire led to great economic and commercial prosperity. International travelers described it as the fabled land of wealth, but these same visitors were also applied at the state of poverty that existed side by side. See, as such, you can see that the glorious things were there, flourished cities were there, but poverty is there. Poverty was there, the inequalities were glaring. Documents from the 20th year of Shah Jahan's region inform that the highest ranking Mansabdars were only 445. See, highest ranking of Mansabdars were only 445 in number out of total of 8,000. The small number, a mere 5.6% of the total number of Mansabdars, received 61.5% of the total estimated revenue of the empire as a salary for themselves and their troopers. Very less of them were getting the salary from the empire for their troopers. Means Mansabdars was keeping the troopers also, troops also. So for the troopers also they need salary, but very less of them were getting the salary. The Mughal Empire and their Mansabdars spent a great deal of their income on salaries and goods. The expenditure benefited the artisans and peasantry who supplied them with good and produce. But the scale of revenue collection left very little for investment in hands of the primary producers, the peasants and artisans. The poorest among them lived from the hand to mouth. They could not hardly consider investing additional resources. Means those who are poor, artisans, peasants were poor. They cannot think. They could not think of the tools and the modern activities like that, modern machineries, anything tools they cannot afford. They cannot think of those things. And like that, what happens? The wealthier peasantry artisans group became more wealthy, and the poor people are becoming poor only. The merchants and bankers profited in this economic world. The wealthier peasantry and the artisans group, the merchants and bankers profited in the economic world. Those were getting the more profit and they were getting more profit in this, and the other were living the poor only. The enormous wealth and resources commanded by the Mughal title made them an extremely powerful group of the people in the 17th century. See, as such, Mughals were counted as the powerful in 17th century. The authority of the Mughal emperor slowly declined. His servants emerged as powerful centers of powers in the regions. Servants were making their own powerful regions. They constituted new dynasties and held command of provinces like Hyderabad, Awadh. Although they continue to recognize the Mughal emperor in Delhi as their master. See, they are making their other areas also, their own regions also, but they are considering Mughal Empire in Delhi as their main master by the 18th century, because the Pen ruler is counted as the Mughals only. The province of the empire had considerable consolidated their independent political identities. Thank you.